Welcome, my fellow veterinary colleagues and those working in the animal care world. I am Dr. Erin Holder, creator of the Veterinary Compassion Fatigue Project. While the veterinary field is rewarding, it is profoundly exhausting and over time takes its toll on our mental, emotional, and physical health. These blogs are my experiences of owning a large integrative hospital for 18 years while raising 4 kids with my husband, my best friend, and learning from my many mistakes. Understanding where I went wrong and how I crashed and burned has been a journey to healing myself and hopefully others. Here is my latest blog. A call to action. Do you remember that moment, that glorious moment of acceptance into veterinary school? I was scrubbed in assisting in surgery when my favorite technician came in to tell me to quickly scrub out and go into the pharmacy. There, my mom and future husband were standing with flowers, balloons, and a certified letter. That was back in the day of certified letters and longer wait times. Years of study, all-nighters, serious dedication, and unwavering motivation culminated in a 1-page letter allowing me to further my dreams of becoming a veterinarian. In that moment, I felt pure joy and happiness. I felt validated and I felt relief. Vet school was a blast. However, I didn't realize at the time the profound effect the intense competition would have on me. It was normalized, applauded, and led to a hunger for success over my peers. I fought so hard to get there that I needed to prove that I should be there. We were grilled in front of our peers and sometimes in front of the clients. Ultimately, I congratulated myself on surviving with the least amount of sleep, missing the least days, and being able to work through and push through almost anything. 4 years of extreme schooling later, I was a doctor. I remember thinking on my first day of work how I had been a student just 24 hours earlier and suddenly something as significant as a doctor the very next day. I was in charge of animals' lives, and clients were scrutinizing me over my youth and experience. So back to the game of proving myself to the new boss, the new staff, and all the new clients. I built imaginary protection to keep myself safe and keep self-doubt out. But self-doubt is slippery, and it finds its way in no matter how tight that protection is. Self-doubt doesn't acknowledge all the accolades or graduating at the top of the class. Self-doubt hyper-focuses on that one case that you stumbled over. But I pushed it aside and went on to open my own veterinary hospital that ultimately was one of the largest integrative hospitals in the U.S. The greater the success of the business, the harder I worked. And 20 years later, I shattered. I jolted awake one afternoon with the realization that I had to get out from under the albatross to save myself. I walked away from it all, my clients, my staff, and my doctors, because I had no choice. I could not continue. And I have spent the last year and a half determined to understand what happened to me, why it happened, and how I can dedicate the rest of my life to helping my colleagues. There's no one I admire more than a veterinarian. You are a workhorse, a quiet, noble hero. You are everything to everyone. You are the internist, the pharmacist, the radiologist, the surgeon, the dentist, and often the therapist. Perhaps you're even the business owner as I was, and you are the only professional that intentionally ends a life. You do all of this balancing your own personal load, working diligently to keep those two things separate. You give everything and you expect nothing. We graduate armed with knowledge on how to treat disease. We spend 4 years talking about how to recognize, diagnose, and how to treat. Some of the smartest people I know are veterinarians, and yet we know nothing of helping ourselves. We have not been taught to openly talk about compassion fatigue because to talk about this is to show weakness. So here I am, talking about it and calling our community to action. We can do better. We must do better. After consuming book after book and reading blogs and websites on compassion fatigue, I found myself at a loss. The scientific research is amazing, and now we have a name for what happens to us, but the recommendations for healing compassion fatigue leave me chuckling. Take time for yourself, dance more, do yoga, exercise, seek therapy. While these are amazing thoughts of self-care, the speakers and writers clearly have no idea how to deal with veterinarians. Research shows us to be one of the most intensely hardworking communities in professional existence. We are consumed with guilt when we step away from our jobs because who else will help those precious animals? The nature of our job is to be tough. Only when we have reached our breaking point do we finally start paying attention to what is happening in our minds and our bodies. But by that time, maybe there are already dreams of other professions, and we are close to another loss in our community. This is simply unacceptable. So how do we combat compassion fatigue? How do we keep amazing veterinarians sane and continuing to practice medicine? First, we talk about it. We acknowledge that 1 in 6 veterinarians contemplate suicide, and burnout and compassion fatigue are at crisis levels. We start talking about it way earlier in veterinary school, and we spend enough time learning tools that each veterinarian can come back to when needed. Or better, we create a new lifestyle that incorporates daily practices to prevent compassion fatigue. Join me on this journey as I begin to unfold my ideas in the Veterinary Compassion Fatigue Project, so named because it will be a lifelong project of helping my beloved community and of us helping each other. You are not alone in your exhaustion, your anger, your sadness, and your love. Find me on the Veterinary Compassion Fatigue Project Spotify podcast, my website, Facebook, and YouTube at TVCFP. Let's keep talking about what we face in the veterinary and animal care world and ways that we can help each other. Reach out if you have a particular topic you would love to hear about. Subscribe to hear updates on our annual restoration retreat to be launched in spring of 2025. As always, I hope you find what you're looking for and share it with anyone who needs it. With love and hope, Dr. Erin Holder.